Now, I don't clean my room very often, I have to admit, but since it's a wonderful new year with prosperous opportunities and optimism in the air, I figured it would be best to start the year out right. So since I spent so many hours tidying everything up, I got an idea. Why not kill two birds with one stone and also make a video of my bedroom, which just happens to also have a racing simulator in it, and a few other things you all might find interesting. Also, I have no new gear to review and content ideas are running a little low, so I might as well. This is the view you get as soon as you enter. As you can see, it's not necessarily a big room by any stretch of the imagination, but I do try to make the most of it. On the left hand side, you see a modern glass shelf with some sim racing wheels. These are all wheels and hardware which I've used in the past, but are currently not a part of my setups. They do look very cool though, and I love seeing them every time I walk by. They also add to the motorsport aesthetic I try to follow here. My old Xbox One is also here, but I mostly just use it to play music out of the TV on top of this shelf. The two doors here open my closet, but y'all don't have to see that. Next up is what I use as my secondary sim racing setup, but I'll talk about it in just a second. First, we have to talk about what is arguably the most important part of my entire room, which is of course the desk. For those of you who don't know, I'm a full-time student, so here's where I primarily do all my schoolwork and study, but it's also where I edit and make all of these videos. For that, I use a 2020 MacBook Air, which I primarily use for school, but is actually quite decent for editing videos. On my desk, you also see other important things like my Blue Snowball microphone, which you're hearing right now, and some other neat gear for making videos. I also have another sim racing wheel here because it just looks cool, to be honest. For some reason, there is also an electric guitar up here, which is hanging on only drywall. If it falls one day, that's gonna be very expensive, and if it falls at night while I'm sleeping, I'll probably have a heart attack. Of course, then here's my bed. There's not much to say about it, but on top of it, you'll find two superhero themed posters. I'm not even very into the whole superhero thing, I just think they look cool. Although I am planning on switching them for some retro Formula 1 posters eventually. Now for the star of the show, my secondary sim racing setup, which I actually find myself using quite a bit since it's so convenient. The cockpit is the Track Racer Tier 8 paired with our GT bucket seat. I've said many times how much I love the look of this rig, which is a primary reason as to why I allowed myself to place it in my room, which is already tight on space. On it is my good old Thrustmaster TSXW paired with the 599XX Evo steering wheel and Thrustmaster TLCM pedals underneath. I also have the Akina handbrake by 3D Wrap attached here, although I rarely find myself using it. I also have my Corsair Void headphones hanging right here. In my opinion, the best part of the Track Racer Tier 8 cockpit is that it comes with an integrated monitor stand, which you can see in action here. It's currently holding up a 24-inch 144Hz Asus display. 24 inches is definitely too small for sim racing in my opinion, so as soon as I can get an ultra wide to replace it, I'll make the leap in a heartbeat. Powering all this is my old PC, which is in dire need of upgrading. I don't remember all of its specs, but I do know it has a GeForce GTX 960 and only 8GB of RAM, so it's certainly not ideal. It does at least do a decent job at handling what it needs to do.
Does the job.
And that's pretty much it. I know this video is a bit unusual and not the types of videos I usually make, but I'd appreciate your feedback on it. I am trying to make a greater variety of videos this year, so let me know what types of content you all would be interested in watching down in the comments below. But with all that being said, thank you all for watching, stay safe, and have a fantastic rest of your day.